When I placed the divorce papers in front of Evan Joe, my hand was steady, so steady it didn't even feel like mine. I never imagined that his one sentence, "Stop acting ridiculous," would become the beginning of a lifetime of consequences he'd never be able to repair. 5 years of marriage. He gave his tenderness to someone else and left the cold, empty shell to me. It wasn't until the day he forced me to donate blood to his mistress, costing me my child, that I finally woke up. Everyone thought I was dying of a terminal illness, but no one knew. The one truly sentenced to death was the man who always treated me as if I were invisible. As the truth was peeled back layer by layer, he eventually fell to his knees begging me to return, but by then, I was already in another city, watching the sunrise, waiting for an answer he would never know in the end. Who really lost whom? Want to know the truth? Read this story to the end. I placed the divorce agreement in front of Evan Joe, my hand steady, unnaturally steady. "Sign it," I said. Evan looked up from a pile of documents, shot the paper a brief glance the way you'd look at a scrap of trash, then lowered his head again to continue reading his reports. The only sounds left in the study were the turning of pages and the ticking of the clock on the wall. I waited 10 minutes, just like I had been waiting quietly for the past 5 years, but this time was different. "Evan," I called again. He finally set down his pen, leaned back in his leather chair, fingers interlaced atop the desk. "Nora Zoo, what kind of new act is this?" "It's not an act." I pushed the pen toward him. "I want a divorce." He laughed a cold, shallow laugh, barely tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Because I didn't come home last night? Or because I missed our anniversary last month?" I shook my head. "No, not because of yesterday, not because of last month. Because of every day, every minute, every second." "Luna sent me a photo," I said calmly. "You were blow drying her hair." For a second, Evan's expression stiffened, but he quickly recovered. "Her hand was injured. I was helping her." "You're overreacting." "That wasn't the first time," I said. "And it won't be the last. That's why I'm stepping out." He stood up, his tall figure casting a shadow over me. I used to shrink back when he did this, but today, I didn't move. "Nora." He picked up the divorce agreement, didn't bother to read it, and slowly tore it in half, then into fourths. "I'll say this one last time. Stop causing trouble." The paper scraps floated to the carpet like snowflakes, white, weightless, just like my existence these past years. I stared at the pieces on the floor. Suddenly, my nose felt hot. When I raised my hand to touch it, my fingertips came away red. A drop, 2 drops, falling on the white paper pieces like flowers blooming in the snow. Evan frowned. "What's wrong with you?" "I'm fine." I covered my nose, blood seeping through my fingers. "It's been happening a lot lately." He handed me a tissue mechanically, like completing a program. I pressed it to my nose. It soaked through quickly. "You should go to a hospital," he said, already sitting back down and picking up his pen. Conversation over, at least in his world. I walked out of the study and returned to my room. Yes, my room. We had been sleeping separately for 2 years. Closing the door, I leaned against it and slowly slid to the floor. The tissue in my hand was soaked red. I remembered the test results still sitting in my bag. 3 days ago, after persistent fever and coughing up blood. I went to the hospital. Dr. Zhu, my high school classmate, looked at me with sympathy. "Nora, prepare yourself," he said softly. "It might be late-stage lung cancer." I was unexpectedly calm. I asked, "How long do I have?" "With aggressive treatment, maybe a year. Without treatment, a few months." I nodded. "Thank you." The sun was bright when I walked out of the hospital, and for the first time, I realized death wasn't black. It could be golden and warm, at least. It meant an end. I made 3 decisions: divorce, refuse treatment, go to the beach, watch one last sunrise, and leave quietly. Now the first decision had failed, but that was fine. I still had the second and third. I stood up, tossed the bloody tissue, and began packing. Not much, just a few clothes, a bank book containing the savings from 2 years of work, not a lot, but enough to get me to the sea, and a sonogram photo. My child, 8 weeks old, a tiny little shape already visible. He would have been born this spring, but I couldn't protect him. My phone buzzed. I picked it up. It was a message from Luna Sue. "Nora, thank you for letting Evan take care of me last night. I had a fever, and he stayed with me the entire night. It must have been lonely for you at home by yourself." Attached was a photo. Evan was asleep on Luna's couch, a blanket draped over him. The angle was intimate, like she had taken it while lying right beside him. I stared at the picture for a long time. Then I laughed, and as I laughed, tears streamed down my face. It was time to end this, truly. I didn't reply instead. I went straight to Evan's company. The receptionist knew me and didn't stop me. I took the elevator up, knocked on his office door. Evan was in the middle of a meeting. When he saw me, his brows drew together sharply. What are you doing here? There were several executive members in the room, and Luna sitting beside him. She wore a white dress today, looking soft and fragile. And innocent? I have something to say, I said, standing tall. Wait until the meeting is over. Evan said impatiently. No, we're doing this now. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear. I want a divorce. Luna can be the witness. The room went silent. Someone coughed. Someone else lowered their head. Luna's eyes turned red. She stood up. Nora, please don't misunderstand. Evan and I, we're just what? I asked calmly. Just friends? Just work partners? Just accidentally ending up in the same bed? Nora zoo. Evan slammed the table and shot up. That's enough. He grabbed the ashtray on the table and hurled it at me. I didn't dodge. It grazed my forehead, smashed on the floor, shattered. Warm liquid slid down my face. Blood or tears? I couldn't tell, Mr. Zhou. Someone gasped. Luna hurried over, reaching for me. Nora, you're bleeding. Let me take you. Don't touch me. I yanked my arm back so hard she staggered. Evan rushed to steady her, then turned and yelled at me. What is wrong with you? I looked at them, this ridiculous tableau of a man protecting his mistress from his own wife, and suddenly it all seemed absurd. 5 years ago, I walked toward this man in a wedding dress, believing I had found a home. Now I finally understood that was the first step into a cage. Evan Zhou. I spoke slowly, clearly. Today, you will sign, whether you want to or not. Otherwise, I will file for divorce publicly, and everyone will know exactly how the heir of Zhou Group treats his wife. He froze, maybe because I had never been this firm, maybe because of the blood on my face, maybe because of the look in my eyes. Luna began crying softly. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have taken this job. I shouldn't have. Yes, I cut her off. You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have interfered in someone else's marriage, shouldn't have faked illnesses, played the victim. And most of all, I drew a deep breath. You shouldn't have cost me my child. The last words were soft, but the entire conference room heard them. Evan's face drained of color. What did you say? Luna froze, panic flickering in her eyes before tears masked it. Nora, how can you say that? I'm heartbroken about the baby too. But it was an accident. Accident? I laughed, tears falling with it. Yes, just like everything about you is an accident. Your presence here is an accident. Those photos you sent were accidents. Your entire existence in his life is one long, calculated accident. I turned to Evan. Do you remember that day? You called me, said Luna had been in a car crash and needed blood, and that her blood type matched mine. Evan's lips parted, but he didn't speak. I was 3 months pregnant. The doctor told me my condition was unstable, no blood donations allowed. I swallowed. But what did you say? You said, it's just a little. Saving her is more important. You said, we can have another child. The room was dead silent. I whispered. I lay on that hospital bed watching my blood drain out of me. I prayed my baby would be strong enough. My voice broke. But he wasn't. He didn't make it. I placed a hand on my abdomen where a small life had once been. He came and left. Like a short, fleeting dream. Evan stared at me, horrified, pale, speechless. Luna clung to his arm, sobbing. Evan, I didn't know she was pregnant. If I had known, I would have rather died than let her donate blood. Shut up. Evan's voice was raw as he pushed her hand away. He looked at me, anger, frustration, and another emotion I had never seen in him before. Cracks forming on a perfect mask. Nora, let's go home. We'll talk at home. That's not my home. I shook my head. Starting today, I'm never going back there. I turned and walked out, my footsteps steady, blood from my forehead dripping onto the carpet, red footprints behind me. Outside, the sun was blinding. I covered my eyes with my hand, peeking through my fingers at the blue sky. 3 months left, maybe less, but at least, for whatever time remained, I would live for myself. 3 days later, Luna sent me an invitation. Nora, this weekend is my birthday. Evan said he'll host a party for me at your house. You'll come too, right? After all, it is your home. I stared at the message, my fingers turning cold. That day was the day my child would have been born, had he lived. It was also the 1-year anniversary of the day he died. Evan had forgotten, or rather he had never remembered. I called him. The phone rang 7 times before he picked up. What? He asked. Are you hosting Luna's birthday at our house this weekend? A brief silence on the other end. Yeah, she's been feeling down lately. I want her to have some fun. Do you know what day it is? What day? My heart went completely cold. Not forgotten. Never known. It's the anniversary of my child's death, I said. Evan didn't respond. I heard the rustling of papers on his end. Then Luna's soft voice asking, Evan, who is it? That day won't work, I said, voice flat. A frozen lake. Change the time or the location. Nora, stop being unreasonable. He snapped. The house is huge. Can't you just stay upstairs? No, I said, that is the only home my child ever had. I will not allow anyone to celebrate in it. He inhaled sharply. Fine, I'll take her to the place in West Hills instead. Satisfied? He hung up. I stood in the empty living room, phone in hand. Sunlight shone through the enormous floor-to-ceiling windows. Dust floated in the light like tiny drifting specks. This house was massive, over 200 square meters, luxuriously decorated. But every piece of furniture was cold. Every wall was barren. It had never heard a child's laughter, never felt the warmth of a family. What it had was only me, waiting, day after day, for a husband who never came home. And now, even this last place of belonging he wanted to take away. The weekend came. I didn't go anywhere. I bought white chrysanthemums and went to the cemetery. There was a tiny plot, marked only unborn child, no name because there hadn't been time to give one. I sat in front of the stone from morning to afternoon. I talked to him, told him how much I missed him, told him I was sorry I couldn't protect him, told him I'd come to be with him soon. As dusk fell, my phone rang. It was Evan. Where are you? His voice sounded strange. The cemetery. He was silent for a long time. I'll pick you up. No, Nora. He said my full name. He only did that when he was serious. We need to talk. Talk about what? I asked softly. How you forgot what today is, or how you could spend today celebrating another woman. He faltered. Evan, I said calmly, I will hate you for the rest of my life. That's not anger. It's a fact. The sound of his breathing grew rapid on the other end. Then he hung up. When I got home, it was already dark. Evan was sitting on the living room sofa. He hadn't turned on the lights. Only his silhouette was visible. What are you doing here? I asked. Didn't you go to West Hills? Didn't go, he said quietly. I dropped her off and came back. I didn't reply. I took off my shoes and headed upstairs. Nora, he said behind me. I stopped, but didn't turn around. About the baby. His voice was so low I barely heard it. I'm sorry. 3 words I had waited a year to hear. But when they finally came, I felt nothing. No sorrow, no anger, no forgiveness, just emptiness. Too late, I said. Give me the spare keys. I'm moving out tomorrow. Where will you go? None of your business. He stood and walked toward me in the darkness. I couldn't see his expression, only his voice, rough and unfamiliar. I won't let you go. Why? Because you're my wife. I laughed, a quiet, bitter sound. When have you ever treated me like your wife, Evan Joe? Was it when you forced me to give Luna blood? When you spent the night at her place? When you forgot my child's death anniversary? He grabbed my wrist tight. I know I've been terrible. I'll change. I don't need you to, I said, yanking my arm free. I don't need you anymore. I went upstairs and locked my door. Leaning against it, I slid to the floor in my pocket. The hospital report was crumpled into a ball. Late-stage cancer. 3 months left. Good. 3 months, and everything would be over. A week later, I booked a plane ticket to the seaside. My luggage was simple, a small suitcase with a few clothes and essentials. On the day of departure, the weather was beautiful. I stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself. I had lost weight. My skin was pale, my eyes sunken, but my eyes, they looked clear, bright, like a prisoner finally seeing the exit of a tunnel. On the way to the airport, I texted Drzu. I've decided to give up treatment and travel. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. He replied quickly. Nora, think about it again. Medical technology is advanced now. It's okay, I typed. I want to leave with dignity. I put my phone down and looked out the window. This was the city I had lived in for 28 years. It was where I grew up, where I met Evan, where I married him, and where I lost my child. And now, I was leaving it. At the airport, I arrived 2 hours early. I got my boarding pass and sat in the waiting area, staring into space. People came and went, farewells, reunions, laughter, tears. Everyone had their own story, and mine was about to end. Suddenly, my phone rang. Evan, I hesitated, then answered. Where are you? He sounded anxious. The airport. What are you doing at the airport? Where are you going? Traveling. Nora Zhu. Stay right where you are. His voice rose sharply. I'm coming now. Why? I asked flatly. Who needs my blood this time? Did Luna get herself hurt again? There was a long silence, then he said, voice suppressed and strained. Yes, she was in a car accident. She needs blood. Your blood type. I hung up before he finished. Then I turned off my phone. My palms were sweaty. My whole body trembled. The memory from a year ago flashed before my eyes, the cold hospital lights, the sting of the needle, the blood bag slowly filling, the growing pain in my abdomen. Do you want to kill me again? I whispered to the blank screen, but I didn't expect Evan to actually come. He burst into the waiting hall, hair messy, tie crooked, nothing like the always impeccable Evan Zhou. He scanned the area wildly. When his eyes found me, they lit up then dimmed again. Nora, he marched over and grabbed my arm. You're coming with me to the hospital. No. I tried to pull away. Let go. Luna needs blood. Only you can save her. Then let her die. I yelled, and people around us turned to stare. Her life is a life, but mine isn't. My child's life wasn't. Evan froze. Maybe because I had never lost control like this. Maybe because of the despair in my voice. I was pregnant. I screamed. A year ago, I was pregnant. The doctor said I couldn't donate blood and you didn't care. You said we could have another child. And now we never will. The hall went silent. Everyone stared. Evan's grip loosened, but he didn't let go. His face turned white, lips trembling. What did you say? I said you killed our child. My voice was hoarse. And now you want to kill me too? Go ahead. I won't live long anyway. What do you mean, you won't live long? At that moment, another voice cut in. Nora? I turned around. Dr. Zhu stood there with a suitcase. He must have been heading out for a conference. Dr. Zhu. I wiped my tears. Evan looked from me to him. You know each other? Dr. Zhu nodded, his expression serious. Mr. Zhou, I don't know what happened between you two, but Nora's physical condition can't handle any stress right now. What condition? Evan demanded. Dr. Zhu glanced at me. I shook my head, but he continued anyway. Late-stage lung cancer. Time stopped. Evan's expression froze, as if someone had ripped the world out from under him. Cancer. He repeated the word like he couldn't understand it. Yes, I said calmly. Late stage, 3 months left. So please let me go spend them however I want. Evan's hand fell away from me completely. He took a step back, shaking his head. No, you're lying. The report is in my bag, I said. You can look at it if you want. He didn't speak. He just stared at me as if he were seeing me for the first time. Then he suddenly grabbed Dr. Zhu by the collar. Treat her. Do you hear me? You're a hospital, why aren't you treating her? Mr. Zhou, calm down. Dr. Zhu pulled free. Nora has the right to refuse treatment. She does not. Evan shouted. I don't allow it. Transfer her now. Use the best medication. Money is not a problem. I'm not going, I said. Evan spun toward me, eyes red. You have to go? Why? I asked. Because you're my husband. Have you ever fulfilled that duty even once? Now that I'm dying, suddenly you care? How convenient. I pulled my suitcase and walked toward security. Nora. Evan tried to follow but was blocked by guards. I turned back one last time. He stood behind the barrier, hand outstretched, as if trying to hold on to something that was already gone. The man who was always so untouchable, so indifferent, looked terrified, but I no longer cared. As I passed through security, I heard him yell, I'll find you. Nora Zhu, I won't let you die. I didn't look back. I never boarded that plane. Right at the gate, I suddenly coughed up blood, a lot of it. People around me panicked, and the flight attendants called an ambulance. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. White ceiling, white walls, the sharp smell of disinfectant in the air. Evan was sitting beside my bed, holding my hand. His hand was warm, but I immediately tried to pull away. You're awake, he said, voice hoarse. I didn't respond. I turned my face toward the window. It was dark outside, my reflection faintly visible on the glass, next to Evan's tired silhouette. Why did you refuse treatment? He asked. Because I don't want it. You hate me so much that you'd punish me like this. I turned my head, meeting his eyes. Evan Zhou. Who do you think you are? You think I'd give up my life just to punish you? You're giving yourself too much credit. His face blanched. Then why? Because I'm tired, I interrupted. Living is exhausting. Years of waiting for you to come home, and all I ever got was coldness or pain. Now that I'm dying, I finally feel relieved. Evan's grip tightened on my hand. It hurt. I won't let you die. You can't stop it. I can. He stood up, towering over me. I've already contacted the best cancer hospital. You'll be transferred next week. Until then, you're not going anywhere. You're imprisoning me? I asked. I'm saving you, he said. I let out a hollow laugh. A year ago, you said the same thing. You were saving Luna and sacrificed my child. He pressed his lips together, silent. From that day on, I was protected. There were guards posted outside my room, bars installed on the windows, my phone confiscated. Even going to the bathroom, a nurse followed me. Evan came every day. Sometimes he sat by my bed for hours without speaking, just staring at me. Sometimes he brought books and read to me. Sometimes he brought food, things I used to like even though I never touched them. Just eat a little, he pleaded, lifting a spoonful of porridge to my mouth. You're getting too thin. I turned my head away. Nora. His voice trembled. Even if you hate me, don't punish your own body. I'm not punishing my body, I said calmly. I'm accepting that it's dying. You're the one who refuses to accept it. He set the bowl down and covered his face with his hands. His shoulders shook but no sound came out. After a long time, he looked up. His eyes were bloodshot. What do I have to do for you to agree to treatment? Let me go. Anything except that. Then we're done talking. Luna called every day dozens of times. Sometimes Evan answered. Sometimes he didn't. I overheard him in the hallway, speaking in a low voice. I can't talk now. Take care of yourself. One day, Luna called the hospital room directly. The nurse answered, then handed me the phone. Nora. Luna said softly, I heard you're sick. I'm really worried. I'm fine, I replied. Evan has been with you every day, hasn't he? He's such a good husband. I heard the jealousy under her sweetness. It made me laugh. Yes, he's taking good care of me. Well, since I'm dying, he has to at least fulfill this last obligation. Nora, don't say that. She paused. I wanted to visit you, but Evan wouldn't allow it. Then don't come. I hung up. Evan walked into the room, looking at me. What did she say? Nothing. I lay down and turned my back to him. I'm tired. Days passed. My body grew weaker. I coughed more blood. Breathing became difficult. The doctors shook their heads more and more often. Evan's face grew darker each day. He started losing sleep. The dark circles under his eyes deepened. Sometimes, I woke up in the middle of the night to find him sitting in the chair, staring at me, with a kind of desperation that bordered on madness. One afternoon, Luna showed up. She was wearing a hospital gown. Yes, she was still hospitalized from her so-called accident. She held a bouquet of flowers, looking delicate and fragile. Nora. She stood at the door, timid. Evan immediately stood, blocking the space in front of my bed. Who let you in? Get out, Evan. I just want to see Nora. Luna's eyes reddened. I said get out. His voice was ice cold. Luna bit her lip and suddenly looked toward me. Nora, I'm sorry. I know you hate me, but I really didn't mean for any of this to happen. I'm so sorry about the baby. What exactly are you sorry for? I asked. Luna froze. Which part are you apologizing for? I sat up and looked directly at her. For pretending you had a clotting disorder so Evan would force me to donate blood? For faking a suicide attempt so he'd stay with you the whole night? For staging a car accident so he'd drag me from the airport? Or for, I paused, causing my child's death? The room went silent. Luna's face went from white to red, then white again. She opened her mouth but no sound came out. Evan slowly turned toward me. What did you say? Pretending? Yes, I said. Pretending. I stared at Luna. Your blood clotting tests are normal, aren't they? Your suicide cut was shallow, wasn't it? Your accident never happened, did it? That's not true. Luna shrieked. I have medical records. Doctors can prove it. Which doctors? I asked. From the hospital your uncle runs? Her eyes widened. Evan looked between us, his expression growing darker. Luna, he said quietly. Explain, Evan. Don't listen to her. She's sick. She's delusional. Luna grabbed his arm, crying. He shoved her hand away. I want to see your medical records, all of them. That's my privacy. Then call your uncle. I want to speak with him. Evan pulled out his phone. Luna lunged for it, but Evan sidestepped. She fell to the floor, her bandage slipping to reveal her wrist. Just a faint, healed scratch. Evan crouched, grabbed her wrist. This is a suicide attempt? He asked, voice shaking. A patient who needs a blood transfusion with a cut like this? Luna trembled violently, real tears spilling this time. Talk, Evan said. Low, dangerous. I love you. Luna sobbed. From the moment I first saw you, I loved you. But you had a wife. I just wanted you to look at me. I had no choice. So you lied to me? Evan's voice cracked. You pretended to be sick, pretended to need blood, pretended to be dying, just to keep me with you? Luna nodded, shaking her head at the same time. I didn't mean to. And the baby? I asked quietly. Luna froze. How did the baby die, Luna? Evan asked. Nora said you caused it. What does that mean? Luna sat on the floor, shaking. After a long moment, she suddenly laughed a strange, broken sound. Yes, it was me. She lifted her head, tears streaking her cheeks, but smiling. I knew she was pregnant. I saw her at the OB clinic, so I pretended to fall, pretended to bleed, pretended to be dying. She almost sounded proud. I knew you'd ask her to donate blood. I knew pregnant women shouldn't, but I didn't think she'd actually miscarry. Evan stood frozen like a statue carved from shock. You. What did you say? His voice was a whisper. I said I killed your baby, Luna said, laughing and crying. I was thrilled. That baby was your bond with her and I cut it. Now you're mine. Only mine. Evan snapped. He lunged forward, grabbed her by the throat, and slammed her against the wall, her face flush red, eyes bulging, her hands clawing desperately at his arm. I'll kill you. Evan growled. You'll pay for what you did. Evan Joe. I shouted. Let her go. But he couldn't hear anything anymore. His eyes were bloodshot feral. Nurses rushed in, screaming. Security piled in, pulling him off her with difficulty. Luna collapsed to the floor, gasping, deep red marks on her neck. Evan struggled wildly. Let me go. I'll kill her. I tore the four from my hand and tried to get out of bed, but the world spun. I collapsed, my head smashing against the corner of the bedside cabinet. Pain flashed, then darkness. The last thing I heard was Evan shouting my name, panic-stricken, terrified as if he were losing his entire world. But it was too late. When I woke up again, my head was throbbing. I lifted my hand to touch it, but a warm hand stopped me. Don't move, Dr. Zhu said. You hit your head. We had to stitch it. I opened my eyes. He stood beside the bed, his expression complicated. Where's Evan? I asked. He was taken away by the police, Dr. Zhu replied. He almost strangled Luna to death. She's pressing charges. I was silent for a moment. And Luna? In the room next door. Severe emotional shock. She keeps rambling nonsense. Dr. Zhu sighed. Nora, there's something you need to know. What? He handed me a new report. Your lung cancer diagnosis was a misdiagnosis. I stared at him, uncomprehending. What? You don't have lung cancer, Dr. Zhu said slowly. Clearly, you have vasculitis, an autoimmune disease. It mimics lung cancer symptoms, but it's treatable, he continued. The previous doctor misread your imaging, and the hospital run by Luna's uncle tampered with your report. My mind went blank. I felt nothing and everything at once. Not cancer. I wasn't dying. Are you sure? My voice trembled. Positive, Dr. Zhu smiled, eyes glistening. I redid your tests myself and had 3 specialists confirm it. Nora, you're not dying. You can live a long, normal life. I covered my face with my hands, tears through my fingers, not tears of joy, not grief, just relief and disbelief tangled together. Turns out, I'm not going to die, I whispered. No, Dr. Zhu said gently. You're not. You can start over. Start over. Those 2 words echoed inside me. A nurse walked in, handing me an envelope. Miss Zhu, the police left this for you, Mr. Joe wrote it before he was taken away. I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Evan's rushed handwriting. Nora, I'm sorry. This time. I truly am. Don't leave. Wait for me. I'll spend my whole life making it up to you. I read it once, twice, a third time. Then I tore it into tiny pieces and threw it away. Dr. Zhu, I said. I want to transfer hospitals. Somewhere no one knows me. He nodded. I'll arrange everything. 3 days later, the police came. They asked me for a statement. I told them everything. Luna's lies, Evan's violence, the truth about my child. Mr. Joe is being charged with aggravated assault. The officer said, he may be facing a significant sentence, and Luna, he continued, is under investigation for medical fraud and coercion. She may also face criminal charges. Her mental evaluation shows severe paranoid personality disorder. She'll likely be committed for treatment. I listened calmly, as if they were telling someone else's story. Miss Zhu, is there anything you want to add? The officer asked. I thought for a moment. Just proceed according to the law, I said. When they left, I walked to the window. Down below, in the hospital garden, patients walked. Families chatted, children played, sunlight spilled across the grass. Life went on indifferent to anyone's sorrow. My phone rang. A strange number. I answered. Nora. Evan's voice hoarse, exhausted, I heard. You're not sick. Thank God. I said nothing, Nora, when I get out. Let's start over. Please, Evan Joe, I said softly. Let's get divorced. Silence. Then I heard him choke back a sob. No. Nora, please. Don't do this. Give me another chance. I already gave you so many chances, I said, and every time, you chose someone else, or you chose to hurt me. A long breath. A breaking voice. I love you. 5 years. I had waited 5 years to hear that. But now that it was here, I felt nothing too late. I said, Evan, I stopped loving you the day our child died. I hung up, blocked the number. A week later, I was discharged. Dr. Zhu helped transfer me to a hospital in another city, a place where no one knew my past. Before leaving, I visited Luna. She was in the psychiatric ward's isolation room, wearing a restraint vest, sitting on the bed mumbling, Evan is mine. Only mine. You can't take him. No one can. Sometimes she laughed hysterically. Sometimes she screamed. Sometimes she whispered. I watched for a moment, then turned and walked away. Some people chase things that never belong to them, and in the end, they lock themselves in the cage they built. 3 months later, I stood on a beach at dawn. The sky was still dark, the sea a deep blue. White waves rolled in again and again, washing over the sand. The air smelled salty, and the wind tugged at my hair and dress. My vasculitis was under control now. I still needed long-term medication, but I could live like a normal person. I found a job at a small library. The pay wasn't high, but the place was quiet, filled with books. I rented a tiny apartment with a south-facing balcony and planted a few flowers there. My life became simple, peaceful. No one yelled at me. No one made me cry. No one demanded I sacrifice myself. I learned how to cook, how to take care of plants, how to enjoy being alone. Sometimes I thought about the past, about Evan, about Luna, about my unborn child. But those memories no longer hurt. They were like old, faded photographs placed quietly in some corner of my heart. Dr. Zhu called occasionally to check on me. He said Evan's case was concluded. For aggravated assault causing serious injury, he had been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Luna was placed under mandatory psychiatric treatment. Her uncle's hospital was under investigation and likely to lose its license. It's all over now, Dr. Zhu said. Yes, I replied, looking out at the sunlight. It's all over. Today, I came to the beach to fulfill my promise to myself to watch one more sunrise. The horizon brightened from deep blue to pale blue to orange red. Clouds turned golden, like flames in the sky. Then the sun slowly rose, inch by inch, breaking free from the sea. Golden light poured across the water, the waves sparkling like scattered diamonds. I closed my eyes and let the warmth touch my face. The wind carried the scent of the ocean, the scent of freedom. I took out the divorce papers. I had already signed them. Evan had too, signing from prison. Legally, our marriage was over. I tore the papers into small pieces and let them drift into the sea. They fluttered like white butterflies before landing on the waves. Carried away by the tide. Goodbye. I whispered. Goodbye, Evan Joe, goodbye. The old Nora Zhu. The sun rose fully. A new day began. I turned and walked along the sand. Behind me lay the wreckage of the past. Ahead lay an unknown future. But I wasn't afraid, because now I could choose, because now I was free. In the sound of the waves, I almost heard a child's laughter, soft, warm. Maybe, in another world, he was living happily. Maybe someday, I would meet someone who truly loved me, cherished me. Maybe not, but that was okay, because I could live well on my own. The sun was warm, the sea was blue, the road ahead was long, and finally I was walking on a path that belonged to me. Thank you for finishing today's story. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed the story, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. There are more amazing stories waiting for you to experience with me. See you tomorrow.